Good afternoon. You know, the people who are assembled to my right is Ms. Melissa DeRosa, who is the Secretary to the Governor. To my left, Robert Mejica, Budget Director. To his left, Alfonso David, Counsel. To the Governor, I sent a letter to President Trump today. I've been in government a long time in a various number of capacities. I've been in a presidential cabinet as Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. I've been Attorney General, Governor. I have never seen a federal government that has as consistently or deliberately targeted a group of states with what are truly negative, if not devastating consequences. It started with this federal government when they did the tax reform and they included SALT. SALT was a targeted economic assault. 15 states, the state that's hurt the most by the reduction of deductibility, state of New York, $15 billion, and we're the number one donor state. The number one donor state. We give $36 billion more to the federal government than we get, and they add a penalty to the number one donor state, regardless of the fact that 40 states actually are states that receive more from the federal government than they give. The SALT effect on New York, if it is not repealed, can transform the economy. And if we don't tackle this problem, 10 years from now, we will look back and say, what was the turning point in New York's economic trajectory? And we will point to this. You cannot effectively increase people's taxes in this state to a high of 30% without consequence. Every state is in an economic competition. The Amazon competition was just a high-profile version of what goes on every day. Howard Zemsky at Empire State Development Corporation, me sitting at my desk, I get a call from a business every day saying, I'm thinking of California, I'm thinking of Texas, I'm thinking of North Carolina. What can you offer to offset your taxes? You then add a 30% burden to that. You hurt our economic competitiveness significantly. Property taxes, which are the highest in the nation in New York, as you know, you take those property taxes, which we've worked so hard to cap and regulate the growth, and then you say overnight to the people on Long Island, oh, by the way, your taxes are going up 30%. You will accelerate the people leaving New York. You could possibly affect the home values, and that will then spiral. That was SALT. Second, the president puts out his budget. Again, with cuts targeted to those same states and hitting New York dramatically. Medicaid cuts, $4 billion this year. How could we even begin to make up a $4 billion cut? Cut TANF, cut the SNAP program, cut CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Program, a program I used to run, which is basic community development for poorer communities. Cut the home program, which is an affordable housing program. Devastating to the state of New York. Complicating getting the budget done, because now you have this big question mark out there of looming federal cuts. Well, the president proposed $4 billion. What will it actually be? Who knows? $4 billion, $3 billion, $2 billion? Any answer is devastating for the state. and you don't know. Well, it's only a presidential proposal. Yeah, it's like saying my budget is only a gubernatorial proposal. It's a serious proposal. And it usually doesn't go away. You can say, well, it's going to be modified by the Congress. Okay, to what percent? And we've seen how sympathetic this Congress is to New York. So we have to conclude a budget with this big unknown question mark, which we won't know until sometime down the road. The third item that illustrates the same point is the Department of Transportation coming out and saying the Hudson River tunnels are a low priority, which is absurd. It is just absurd. In their project description, they describe the Hudson River Tunnel as 106 years old, owned by Amtrak. Why is that important? Who owns Amtrak? President Donald Trump. That is a Trump tunnel. That is a Trump tunnel. You know how he likes to put his name on properties that he owns? We should put up a big sign as the trains are coming in. You're entering the Trump tunnel, owned by Amtrak. One shareholder of Amtrak is the federal government. They are owned by Amtrak. The description says they're 106 years old. The description says they were damaged by Hurricane Sandy. The description says that they are in a significant need of repair and can be delays. The description says 450 trains go through it, 200,000 daily trips for riders. And by the way, it serves the entire Northeast corridor. So it's not just New York, it's the whole Northeast corridor. It's a low priority. First of all, why is it a state's responsibility to pay to repair a federal tunnel? When this first came up about 4 years ago during the Obama administration, my first response was, why isn't it a federal responsibility? We don't own it. We don't have trains that go through it. Why shouldn't the federal government pay 100%? People said, oh, you don't think of it that way. This is an important priority. You should participate. All right, we have no legal obligation. But we said if you want to say morally or just practically to help it get going, we agree with the state of New Jersey to contribute $6 billion, which is real money for us, right? $3 billion per state. New Mario Cuomo Bridge, $4 billion. You can do a lot with $3 billion. Port Authority votes and approves $2.7 billion for the project. They come back and say, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not our tunnel. It's not our property. It's our problem because we are a consequence of their inaction. But it is solely their property that they were supposed to maintain, they were supposed to repair, and if it has to be replaced, it's their business. But this Department of Transportation report basically says the Hudson tunnels are dead on arrival as a project for funding, while saying they are in desperate need for repair. My paraphrasing, not their language. We have no alternative as a state. We don't own it. It's not our financial obligation. I wouldn't have the legal authority to do anything. But it is a disaster waiting to happen. And everybody knows it, and nobody denies it. In their project description, they say it was significantly damaged. But it's a low to medium priority and is not going to receive funding. End of story. I went into the tunnels, I took videos, I sent the videos to the president, I went and met with the president, he looked at the videos, he confirmed what he saw in the video was a significant level of deterioration. I met with the Department of Transportation Secretary Chow, showed her the video, showed her the pictures, went through it, met with the congressional delegation. I believe this is one of the most egregious cases of government recklessness and malpractice. This is political retaliation. These are states that did not vote for the president. These are states which are primarily Democratic states. And I think they are governing by their political inclinations, both positive and negative. SALT, budget cuts, Hudson tunnels, all make the same point. It can't be a coincidence. And it's not that they're not aware of these issues. They're very aware of SALT. They're very aware of Medicaid cuts and TANF cuts. And they're very aware of the Hudson tunnels. And it is literally, as I said, it's only a matter of time. If you have to close one of the tunnels, you would have a tremendous backlog of delays, 450 trips, 200,000 trips through the two tunnels. And we have done everything we can. I was very blunt in the letter to the president, and I think everyone should know there are differences of opinion in government, and I respect that. We have them all day long. I don't believe this is a difference of opinion. I believe this is political retaliation, and I believe it's terrible. And I believe the president should be called on it, and that's what we're doing today.